Welcome. I'm excited to present my findings and experience and research in taking a MOOC. My name is Tammy Shelton, and I am a doctoral student at Concordia University, Portland. This was my first experience in taking a MOOC. I've never really looked into them or wanted to take a MOOC, so this was an interesting challenge for me to try to experience. So I hope you enjoy this presentation and can learn a little bit more about my experience in taking a MOOC. Before we dive into the material today, I kind of want to give a sense of what is a MOOC and why do we use MOOCs. What's interesting about MOOCs is they give access to a global audience. So anyone from across the world could be involved in a MOOC and take a course from any location at any institution. What is interesting is that there's this concept that MOOCs give students opportunities to experience a university and gain knowledge without the expense of a full tuition degree credential. This means that you don't have to spend $7,000 or maybe $60,000 for a full credential, and that you can kind of try it before you buy it sort of mentality of engaging with either material, courses, or an institution. MOOCs seem to be completely geared towards adult learners. From Raymond Wodgowski's research, he's sort of the father of accelerated and adult learners. Adult learners are internally motivated and look for lifelong learning experiences, and MOOCs certainly fulfill that role. Real outcomes and school attainment is what is needed in the workforce. This was interesting to me, and I love this reference because my dissertation topic is on the gap between workforce development and higher ed. So I still think we have a ways to go in figuring this MOOC thing out and looking towards skills attainment and higher education sort of filling that gap. And MOOCs give adult learners an opportunity to gain knowledge and skills that support lifelong learning. So I think once you get going and you understand MOOCs and it's something you enjoy, it's a place you can go back to and experience over and over again. So what is a MOOC? MOOC is known is an acronym for a massive open online course. MOOCs are typically an online course that allows for the open participation of anyone wishing to attend the course. So it gives an open access to all kinds of learners. They're traditionally standalone courses, meaning that there's not a lot of prerequisites. Although what was interesting when looking at MOOCs is that there are sort of these standards of beginners, intermediate, and advanced learners. So it does give you an opportunity to self-assess your standing as either a beginner, an intermediate, or advanced students. I've also listed some of the most common recognized providers of MOOCs, and I chose to actually go through and participate in a MOOC by Udacity, which is facilitated by Google. So it was interesting to see Udacity listed as in one of those references. So the course or the platform that I chose for my MOOC was an Audacity course. And I chose that one because it had a lot of brand recognition for industry leaders that used their platform for some of their training and development. These leaders were Amazon, AT&T, IBM, Google. There were many, many others that used this as course facilitating for their training and development for their employees. They had both free and for-fee services and courses, which was interesting. It was really kind of hard to actually find as many free options as I probably would have wanted. Many of the courses were geared towards technology and career skill courses like how to build your own app for your phone or how to build a resume and how to interview. These weren't things I was really interested in, but still it was pretty cool that you could take those kind of courses. They really, really stressed learning communities. So going through some of these courses with a friend or with created learning communities within the platform. And they also had specific programs for veterans. So the MOOC that I decided to participate in was specifically how to build a startup. I sing and play keyboards in my praise team at church, and I was really looking for some vocal type courses so I could learn how to be a better singer. But they didn't really have those kind of hobby, like how to paint a picture or something like that type of courses, which kind of interesting to me. As a lifelong learner, those were things I wanted to participate. But I chose how to build a startup because I felt like that was something that could be interesting, could apply to something I wanted to do later in life. They had several different lessons. I did participate in lesson one. That was mainly an introduction to the course. Lesson two was really where you went into and got into some of the pedagogy and andragogy of the course. Something that was kind of hardcore, and I think I'll mention a couple of times as we move through the slides, is that over and over again, they were trying to sell either the textbooks or additional resources such as software programs and websites. There was a heavy use of YouTube videos, and that was sort of interesting to me as well, is that they were out there for consumption by anyone. In the introduction of the course in lesson one, they actually went through the format of the course, and the facilitator referenced him as good, better, almost best, and best. He said a good way to go about the format of the course was to watch and use the discussion boards that were in the course to engage with other learners that were in the course taking it at the same time. The facilitator said, though, a better way to go through the course was to pay for some of the additional textbooks, which, by the way, he wrote, and that would help support the learning in the course. He then listed an almost best format would be to get your team together. So if you were doing a startup and you had a company, have them as a team go through the course, the MOOC, together. And that would be beneficial. But he said the absolute best way to go through the course was to not only go through the course, but go through a paid web facilitation course. He called it Startup Weekend, which again was a paid service, and to do that with your team. So I just kept feeling like they were trying to sell their services to me. The course expectations were sort of difficult to find. I don't know if it's more that as a professor or my traditional instructional design capacity, I know there's sort of this flow of course outcomes, syllabi outcomes, lecture outcomes. I had a hard time finding that. The course expectations were sort of embedded in the introduction of this is how you should, it went into a lot of how you should take the course, but not what you would be able to learn. It did sell over and over again tools and resources, softwares, next steps, how to go through how to apply what you've learned to your team, which I did appreciate with that. But basically the course expectation is that you're going to learn what you need to do to start your own business. I'm used to outcomes using Bloom's. Student will be able to ... Never found that kind of information. So I think the expectation of the course is that you'd be able to get some of the tools either paid or open sourced on how to start your own business. There wasn't a formal syllabus. I think what they were using as a syllabus was the menu navigation on the left-hand side of the screen, where you go through, pick content, look at units, but there wasn't a formal syllabus. So that was something that was interesting as well. But I don't know that as a traditional learner, yeah, that's my experience is using a syllabus kind of as a roadmap. I'm not sure if I didn't have a university or college experience if I would be looking for that. So it may be appropriate that they didn't have a syllabus. In terms of course assignment, there were very, very heavily use of YouTube videos. The YouTube videos were about 2 minutes to maybe 5 minutes, so the length was appropriate. But it really was, you had engagement with the content, either additional readings, the textbooks, the video, and then you would take a quiz. You could take the quiz as many times as you wanted, and what I did is is probably cheat. I took the quiz first before I engaged in the content because I wanted to see if there was a difference between engaging with the content and then taking the quizzes, or taking the quizzes and going back, retaking the quizzes until you pass them. So I think both worked. This again was at a very beginning type of level of engagement. So I'm not real sure about how the course assignments worked. The instructional designer in me wanted them to build something, like to put together a portfolio as an assessment tool. There really wasn't anything like that, but I don't think that that was their goal. But from a I don't know, pedagogical view, that was something that I was looking for, but just didn't find in the course. In terms of course grading, absolutely, there was no grading. That accountability just wasn't there. It was up to you. Again, self-directed learning. What do you want to learn? How do you learn it? Maybe I'm too competitive. I like the accountability to grades. I like having the time frame of when assignments are due. For me personally, this would be hard, just because I have a very busy life. I'm a vice president of a company. I'm a single mom. I'm a doctoral student. I serve in my church. I need to be held accountable so I can budget my time. So that was difficult for me, but I imagine there are lots of learners who would appreciate that you take it and do it whenever you want to. I just think I know myself and I probably would not have finished the course, but I'm sure many people do. So, in comparing MOOCs to other deliveries such as online deliveries, hybrid, face-to-face, accelerated, I'm not sure that comparing a MOOC to those other deliveries is really fair, because the others that I have experience with are built around pedagogy, built around Bloom's taxonomy, built towards outcomes. And I think this is a challenge for MOOCs, although it certainly looks like training and development that's found in the fields. By that I mean, my company is Capital Education, and we have created training and development with outcomes. It's 100% online, 3-week courses with outcomes that are built around stackable credentials and could articulate and translate into credit at one of our university partners. In our training and development courses that are 100% online, they're built around Blooms, moving the student to different development stages, and then again, written with outcomes in mind that would aid the facilitation of articulating credit. It's having a whole lot of traction in the marketplace because I feel like a lot of training and development is done with the talking head, the sage on the stage. And that was my experience in the MOOC that I took. There was not an opportunity for me to take the content other than a direct assessment of a quiz, but really to go into a project-based or an outcome, or working on it, a project together, or portfolio component. Those were missing. And those are things that we find in our online, hybrid, and face-to-face courses. They're written by people who, in theory, most, at my school, this is the way we did it, with instructional design teams and folks who understand how learners learn and can master content. So that was missing in a lot of what I experienced in this MOOC. So I think we still have a ways to go in looking at that MOOCs. I think it would be easily articulated into the delivery. But again, this is my experience based on one MOOC that I have taken. I think MOOCs are great for some people. I don't think they were quite the disruptor that everyone thought they were going to be. It was going to be the demise of higher education. Um, I also, in my personal experience, purely anecdotally, I don't have any friends who have taken any MOOCs. I know the president of my company took one just to see what was going on out there, but was very disappointed with the format as well. But I think that's because they're geared towards a more sophisticated type of adult student, as per this quote. That MOOCs were sort of designed around students who had taken courses, who are experienced in self-directed learning, they're motivated, and so I'm not sure that MOOCs are a great opportunity for underrepresented student populations to attend colleges. I think we've got some ways to go there. But it was interesting. I'm glad I took the course. I probably would have never have done it if it hadn't been mandated, because I think it's good experience and it's something for those of us who work with online learning and with learners that we can speak intelligently to. So I hope you have enjoyed my presentation today, and thank you for this opportunity to take a MOOC.